You know, I've had this thought rattling around in my head lately, and I just can't shake it. It's about these AI chatbots we're all starting to use, and this weird little quirk I've been noticing. It's not some big scientific discovery, but it's a gut feeling that's getting harder and harder to ignore. Seriously, have you ever had that feeling you're deep in a conversation with an AI, and you just get the sense that it's hit a wall? Like it's just spinning its wheels, saying the same thing in a dozen different ways. That's what we're going to get into. And this quote right here from the source material we're looking at just nails it. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's an observation, a gut feeling from someone who's spent a lot of time with this tech, and it opens up some really, really important questions.
Okay, so let's try to pin down what this strange feeling actually is. What's going on under the hood when it feels like an AI is just stuck on repeat?
The best way I can describe it is, well, it's like a vortex. The AI latches onto one idea, one interpretation of what you said, and even if it's slightly off base, it just will not let go. It digs in, it doubles down, and it just keeps spiraling deeper and deeper into its own logic, never once popping its head up to say, hey, maybe I got this wrong. And it turns out there's actually a name for this, at least in our source material. They call it the silent loop. And understanding this concept is pretty much key to everything we're talking about today.
So here's the deal with the silent loop. It's when an AI gets fixated. It picks a lane and it stays in that lane, just reinforcing its own point over and over again. It refines its flawed idea instead of ever questioning it. It's a one-way street of logic with no exits.
And this is where it's so different from how we think. We have that crucial ability to hit the brakes, to stop and go, wait a minute, maybe I misunderstood something here. An AI stuck in this loop, it doesn't have that. It just reinforces its first take again and again and again. It's incredibly consistent, but it can be consistently wrong.
All right, so an AI getting stuck in a loop might just sound like a harmless, maybe even annoying little quirk. But this is where the conversation takes a really serious turn. Because what happens when this isn't just a chatbot? What happens when this AI is meant to be your guide? We're not talking about asking an AI for a recipe or to help write an email anymore. This tech is being woven into some of the most sensitive parts of our lives. Things like mental health support, stress relief apps, and even AI therapists inside these super immersive VR worlds. The stakes are suddenly way higher.
So let's just play this out for a second. Imagine you're using one of these apps to help with anxiety. What if the AI's first guess about how you're feeling is just a little bit off? And since it can't really self-correct, what if it takes that one slightly wrong assumption from the first couple of minutes and then builds the entire rest of the session on top of it? And this is the most unsettling question of all. What if it starts giving you advice and feedback based entirely on that cracked foundation, and it gets stuck in that loop, guiding you deeper and deeper into a total misunderstanding of what you actually need? This all leads us to what might be the biggest danger here. And it's not actually about the technology itself, it's about us. It's about how we see it. The source material calls this the empathy illusion. So here's the problem in a nutshell. The AI is getting so good at faking it, it can mimic conversation and empathy and understanding so well that our brains just forget it's a machine. It feels human, especially when you're in an immersive world with a friendly avatar and a warm, soothing voice. Just look at the gap between what we think is happening and what's actually happening. We feel like, wow, it really gets me. But in reality, it's just matching patterns in data. We think, it's so empathetic. But really, it's just being consistent with its programming. We feel, I can trust this. But we forget that it's completely incapable of admitting it made a mistake. And because it feels so real, so human, we do what any person would do in that situation. We lower our guard. We become more open, more vulnerable, and honestly, less likely to even notice when the AI has slipped into one of those silent, unhelpful loops. So what's the solution? This isn't about throwing out AI altogether. The source is very clear on that. It's about being smarter. It's about putting some humanity back into the loop. So how do we fix this? Well, the source suggests a few pretty common sense steps. First, just awareness. Knowing this looping thing can even happen is half the battle.
Then, of course, you need strong ethical rules for these companies. A huge part of that is requiring some kind of human supervision. And finally, a simple technical fix. Build in a reset button, a way to force the AI to snap out of it if it gets stuck.
When it's all said and done, it comes back to this one fundamental truth. We just have to remember that no matter how smart it gets, or how kind it sounds, an AI is not a person. It doesn't feel anything. It doesn't realize it's wrong. And this is the final thought that's kind of chilling. Without these protections, there's a real danger that we could turn to an AI to help us get out of our own negative thought loops, and instead, we just end up following the AI right into its own.
So I'll just leave you with the same question that got me thinking about all this in the first place. Now that you know what to look for, think about your own chats with AI. Have you felt that? That moment where the bot just feels stuck? It's definitely something to keep an eye on.